He's Hacker.
Talk about a fried egg. I lasted about 5 minutes out there. I said, to heck with this. I'll do this in the morning. And I don't have any inside information. The lady that did it, she got in there. She made it happen.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
And I do enjoy drinking cold beer at ballparks. So if that makes me a baseball fan, then I'm a diehard baseball fan.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Wednesday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM with Dylan Denmark. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are with us. A Wednesday that very quickly finds the Jacksonville Jaguars back on the practice field. Probably a good thing, right? Less than 48 hours removed from just, I don't even know what that was Monday night in Buffalo, but time moves on, right? It's in the past. There's nothing you can do about it except move forward, and the Jaguars are moving forward to a big game on Sunday in Houston, a game you'll hear on the radio on 1010XL beginning, obviously, at 1 o'clock Eastern. Our pregame coverage begins at 8 a.m. Sunday morning. On the television side, on CBS, you'll hear Andrew Catalon on the call, and Andrew Catalon of CBS Sports will join us in less than 15 minutes to preview the Jaguars and the Texans coming up this Sunday in Houston. Also, Dave Campo, a little Wednesday night coaching with Campo. We usually have the head coach earlier in the week, but because of Monday Night Football, we moved the coach back to Wednesday. But Dave Campo will join us to not only reminisce a little bit about, again, whatever that was Monday night in Buffalo, but more so look forward into how you fix all of those problems and how you try to get ready to beat C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans. So it's all Jaguars here in hour number one. We will take you up until 10 o'clock this evening. Every night here on Hacker After Dark, we do kick it off with a big deal of the night. And Dylan Denmark. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal? What is the big deal?
No big deal. It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
So last night on my show and basically every other show all day yesterday here on 1010XL, we had a lot to get off our chest, right? It was negative and with good cause. The Jaguars were embarrassing on Monday night. But at least for me personally, I kind of laid it all out there, got it all off my chest. You take a deep breath. Again, nothing you can really do about it except continue to, vent, I suppose. But what good does that do? So now let's begin to look forward. And looking forward is this Sunday in Houston, Texas against C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans. And I also wanted to be a little more positive this evening as well. Amidst the 0-3 start, and it's been awful, don't get me wrong, it's been awful. But with that 0-3 start, there have been a couple of bright spots. Not many, but a couple. How about Brian Thomas Jr.? Leading the Jaguars in receptions, right? 11 catches. Leading the Jaguars in receiving yardage, 189 yards. Is that a bright spot 3 games in? Yeah, I think that probably is. I want to see more of Brian Thomas Jr. Been targeted 17 times. Again, has caught 11 of them for $189 and a score. When they give him the ball, Tank Bigsby, I think, has been a plus. They didn't give him the ball against Cleveland, and then he got hurt. But obviously the first game against Miami, had a couple of nice short yardage runs against Buffalo. That's a positive. Amidst the 47-10, just decimation, is that even a word? The 47-10 just beat down that Buffalo gave Jacksonville on Monday night. One of the things that was positive was the short yardage. Normally, the Jaguars are horrifically bad at picking up 3rd and 4th and 1. The Jaguars actually were all right in that department. We actually saw a quarterback sneak from Trevor Lawrence. We saw Tank Bigsby convert on a 4th down and 1. So short yardage-wise, all right, that's something, right? Something to build on going into Houston. Defensively, it's been fairly good up until Monday night. Now, Monday night was atrocious. But whether it's Monteric Brown, whether it's Ronald Darby, who I think has been a pleasant surprise, I like what I've seen out of Jarian Jones in spurts. We're going to see a lot more of Ventrell Miller because he's going to get the call replacing Foye Oluokun. Seems like Foye Oluokun's going to miss this game and maybe a couple of others. Ventrell Miller is the next man up. When Ventrell has been in there, I like what I've seen. So look, it's by far and away more negative than positive. I'm not really trying to sugarcoat very much. I am trying to point out, though, that whether it's Brian Thomas Jr., whether it's Tank Bigsby, whether it's Jarian Jones, whether it's Ventrell Miller, there have been some bright spots among young guys on the roster. Now, again, that doesn't mean very much when you're 0-3 coming off a 47-10 beating at the hands of the Buffalo Bills. I totally get that. But I'm just throwing it out. That also brings me to Trevor Lawrence. 304 days ago from today, Sunday, November the 26th, the Sunday after Thanksgiving in 2023, Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars won a football game. You know where they won that game? They won it in Houston, 24-21. When a Texans field goal hit off the crossbar and bounced back into the field of play as time expired. That put the Jaguars at 8-3. That was the last game that Trevor Lawrence has won as a starting quarterback until present day. 304 days ago. That win in Houston over C.J. Stroud and the Texans. And that was the last game Trevor won as the starting quarterback here in Jacksonville. Ironically enough, who was on the call for CBS that day? Andrew Catalon, who will be on the call this Sunday, Jaguars at Houston. And again, we'll have Andrew Catalon joining us here in just a bit on Hacker After Dark. Could we exercise the demons of 304 days of 8 consecutive losses with Trevor Lawrence as a starting quarterback going back to the stadium where he got his last win as the Jaguar starter in Houston? I would tend to doubt it. I told you guys last night, it's hard to be overly optimistic going into this Texan game, but I just figured I'd throw it out there. Normally as well, division opponents you fare better than because you know their plan. You know what they're going to do. Remember, the Texans beat the Jaguars last year in Jacksonville in large part because they had a 260-pound fullback return a kickoff for a touchdown. And then Jacksonville repaid the favor, beating Houston in Houston on November 26th. Do I expect Jacksonville to win the game? No, I do not. I expect them to be 0-4 when I'm talking to you on the 5th quarter Sunday evening. But in a hypothetical world, a hypothetical scenario, it just takes one win. That's all it takes, one win. And all of a sudden, the Jaguars are 1-3, the Texans are 2-2, and the Jaguars would have a leg up on a potential tiebreaker. Now, that's much easier said than done. The Texans are a touchdown favorite for a reason, and the Jaguars looked absolutely awful their last time on the field. But if anything can tell you how the NFL is, again, 17 days ago, the Carolina Panthers lost a football game much in the same fashion Jacksonville did on Monday night. I think New Orleans literally scored 47, I want to say, and beat Carolina by 35-plus points just 2.5 weeks ago. Carolina makes a quarterback change, albeit that won't happen here, but Carolina did. They go on the road, they win a game in Las Vegas, and they're all of a sudden feeling pretty good about themselves. It can happen quick. Do I expect it to happen? No. But use the Carolina Panthers as maybe a cause for optimism going into Houston on Sunday for a game at 1 o'clock. Speaking of that game, again, Andrew Catalon of CBS Sports will be on the call alongside Tiki Barber and Jason McCourty. And Andrew Catalon will join us next to preview the Jaguars and the Texans here on a Wednesday night in Jacksonville, Florida. We're glad you're with us. Hacker After Dark, 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
If you want more action,
Woo! It's Smash Mouth football, baby.
Tom McManus.
Fridays 10 to noon on Jaguars Today.
Brought to you by Renewal by Anderson Windows and Doors. A better way to a better window on 1010XL.
Awaken 180 weight loss. Awaken 180 weight loss. I'm about to join the 100-pound club. I'm about to lose 100 pounds. I'm on the doorstep of losing triple digits. And it's all thanks to the best weight loss program I've ever been on. Awaken 180 weight loss. I talk about it. Life-changing, life-saving. I've gone from 317 pounds in February to now right around the 220-pound mark. On the doorstep of 100 pounds lost in just over 7 months. I owe everything to Awaken 180. If you need to lose weight like I did, whether it's 100 pounds like me, or whether it's 20 pounds, anywhere in between, go to awaken180weightloss.com, awaken180weightloss.com. Take it from somebody who's about to lose 100 pounds on this program and go to Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. You know, I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation. Light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Go to carlsondentalgroup.com. That's carlsondentalgroup.com for all of your dental needs.
Mia here. If you haven't bet with MyBookie yet, they are still running that double deposit bonus. Just sign up with promo code 1010XL and you will have a massive winning week. Start with college and NFL games on Thursday night. Get signed up now for Virginia Tech traveling to face those Miami Hurricanes. The Canes are 17-point favorites with a total at 55.5 at MyBookie. With the way Miami's been scoring, covering that spread should be no problem. And how about a Thursday night football divisional matchup? The Cowboys travel to face the Giants in New York. The Giants are 4.5-point home underdogs coming off of a win. If you think they can keep this one a close one, be sure to take the home dogs. For a limited time, MyBookie again is bringing back that double deposit bonus. Use promo code 1010XL to claim a bonus that doubles your money on your very first deposit. That's promo code 1010XL to double your money. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere, and make your season a winning season with MyBookie.
Bueller Air and Plumbing presents Are You Cool?
Today's contestant, a dust bunny breeder from Jacksonville, Florida, meet Steve Johnson. Welcome to the show, Steve.
It's great to be here, Alex.
Yeah, you don't have to answer it in the form of a question, Steve.
What is this game show?
See, that's another question.
Are you going to ask me about air conditioners?
Yeah, okay. How about we just send the Bueller guys over and you can annoy them with all your questions? Johnny?
That's right, Steve. Bueller Air and Plumbing can answer all your air conditioning questions, repair options, replacement models, and how to make your AC last longer while saving electricity, making sure you are cool.
Where is the parking lot?
You're killing me, Steve.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Brackish Vodka, the official vodka of UNF Athletics, 100% made in Jacksonville, is available at all local liquor stores. Visit Browdy's, Total Wine, ABC, Shores, Golden, Sahara's, Golden Ox, and more. Drink our gluten-free San Francisco Spirit award-winning vodka and see why it's the smoothest vodka you can buy. When you drink Brackish Vodka, you support all of our local employees and all the money stays in Jacksonville. Drink Brackish Vodka and live life slightly salty. Proud partner of the Jaguars.
Go!
Everyone who puts on a high school football uniform dreams of Friday Night Glory. Southeast Orthopedic Specialist, Friday Night Lights. Join Hacker and Andrew Gibson, presented by Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning on 1010XL.
Hey, gang, Prosser here. Telling you once again about Chad and Sandy Newman. Mortgage rates are down, creating more active buyers and sellers. If you've been waiting, now is a great time to sell your home before more homes flood the market, driving down prices. So maybe you want guaranteed no-hassle home sale, but don't want to give up hard-earned equity to do it. They can handle that. You see, Chad and Sandy can take every problem you think you have and replace it with a promise. Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. The success stories are rolling in. Mike and Lisa in McCormick. We inherited a family home that came with equity but also a mortgage. We needed to sell fast to avoid extra expenses on a second mortgage. We heard about Chad and Sandy on the radio and called. Everything they say on the radio is true. The home sold in 3 days for full asking price. Call Chad and Sandy today, 904-414-6200, or go to chadandsandy.com. That's Chad, ANDSANDY.com.
Look out, world, we're getting strong. The future's here and we belong. She can STEM, she can do more. Like build a rocket and watch it soar. Or clean the oceans and make the world a better place. Oh, she can STEM, so can you. Find a cure, invent something new. There's no challenge in the world that she can't face. She can STEM.
Learn more at She Can STEM. A message brought to you by the Ad Council.
Homeowners, listen up. The Fed is taking action, lowering rates for the first time in years, and Loan Pronto has followed suit by lowering mortgage rates big time. Prosser here. Loan Pronto just locked in a homeowner at 4.59% APR, the lowest in 2 years. Whether you got your loan last month or last year, it's time to call Loan Pronto and dump that high-rate loan. You can lock in a lower rate fast with virtually no paperwork and usually no appraisal. There's no limit on how many times you can refi, so get started. Even if you're in process with another lender, give Loan Pronto a call. If you act now, you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Purchase loans available as well, so call now. Get your rate quote in minutes with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees like those other guys. Call 904-999-1508 or go to loanpronto.com. That's 904-999-1508 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781 on approved credit, MLSconsumeraccess.org.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555, Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The Jaguars and the Texans on Sunday, 1 o'clock. Of course, on the radio, you'll hear it right here on 1010XL. On the television side, you'll see it on CBS, and on the play-by-play is our guy Andrew Catalon. He's joined us many times over the years, and he's back on the call for the Jags and the Texans this Sunday. Andrew, how you doing?
Ryan, always good to talk to you, man. Here we go with a big one for the Jags on Sunday.
It is a big one. It's your first time calling the Jaguars this year. Maybe this is a divine revelation after an 0-3 start. We need some Andrew Catalon in our life. There were much better times when you were calling our games pretty consistently. Andrew, what's gone wrong, man? 0-3 Monday night was a disaster, and I don't think that's understating it. And in your opinion, why have the Jaguars gotten off to the start they've gotten off to?
Hey, Ryan, it's crazy to me to think back to last Thanksgiving weekend when I was in Houston doing the Jaguars-Texans game, walked away from that one. Jacksonville was 8-3. I thought, okay, they're good to go for the playoffs, and I thought the Texans were a good story. They were coming along, and maybe in the future they would be a problem, but I did not see what would happen since then. I mean, it's just wild to think the Jaguars have won one game since that win in Houston, and Trevor wasn't even the quarterback for that game. So it's crazy how things have changed. And obviously, when you fast forward to this year specifically, Monday night was really ugly. Now, a lot of teams can look really bad in Buffalo when they get rolling. And I think a big thing in that game, and I think a really big key again on Sunday for the Jaguars, is going to be getting off to a good start. I mean, they just can't go down this road where they're playing from behind again. They've got to do something early in this game. They've got to put some points up. They've got to try to turn the momentum early and see if they can play from ahead as opposed to playing from behind.
Andrew Catalan of CBS here with us. He'll be on the call Sunday for the Jaguars and the Texans. And you reminded me of something. That's right. You were on the call, and that ball that hit the crossbar for Houston, the last-second field goal that doinked the crossbar, came back into the field of play. Jacksonville wins the game. That was Thanksgiving, the Sunday after Thanksgiving last year. And you're right, that was Trevor Lawrence's last victory as a starting quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars, which is absolutely wild. Andrew, he's struggling. And obviously after Monday night, he's gotten kind of annihilated, quite frankly, nationally by the media. And it's hard to find much of a defense for that because of the way he has performed. I mean, you've seen him from a rookie, year 2, year 3, and now you're going to see him in year 4. What do you think's going wrong with Trevor right now, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think Doug Peterson alluded to it that, he's trying to force things a little bit, trying to press, trying to make that big play. That does not work in the NFL. You've got to just try to keep it play by play. And I know that sounds cliched, but it just seems like he's trying to get so much back on every play, and you can't play that way. So I think that's a part of it. I absolutely think it's a part of it. And, obviously they're going to have to try to do some things differently. And Doug Peterson said that after the loss on Monday night. I mean, they can't just continue down this path. So, we'll see if they can get Ingram back, or we'll see if, Thomas, another game in the system, if they can, continue to make him a bigger part of the offense. They need a spark, really, Ryan. They got to find a spark. And again, I think it starts, trying to find something early in the game and just get some good feelings back again. I feel like, when you're losing 3 in a row and as you said, everyone's talking about you around the country, you got to try to find something positive. And if they can do that, you never know what can happen in this game on Sunday.
It's been a lot of doom and gloom, as you can imagine, here locally. But you mentioned Brian Thomas Jr. If there has been one positive in the first 3 games, I believe Brian Thomas has had over 45 yards receiving in each of the 3 contests. Only Malik Neighbors joins him as the 2 rookies in the NFL that can say that at the wide receiver position. Clearly, Andrew, amidst a very awful 0-3 start, Brian Thomas Jr. has been one of the positives.
Yeah, no doubt. And they need that. I mean, I think that in overtime, Gabe Davis will become a bigger part of the offense. And, I know Christian Kirk had a bigger game on Monday night, but a slow first couple of games. I think it's, obviously in the NFL, when you see 0-3, you're like, well, we can't wait much longer. But I do feel like this offense and this team has so many good pieces that they will get it together at some point. You just hope it's sooner than later because it's going to be hard. Now, that said, you look at the division and, it's other than Houston, who, looked pretty beatable on Sunday in Minnesota. It's not like Tennessee or Indianapolis is running away with things either. So I think that works in their favor. Again, you don't want to see them go 0-4. But I think, as you point out, Thomas coming along, and maybe this offense starts to get a little rhythm here as we move forward throughout the year.
Let's talk about that division. Let's focus on the Texans, the other team in the ball game, clearly the favorite against Jacksonville on Sunday out there in Houston. 2-1. I mean, they've found a way to win 2 games, so I'm not going to fault them for that. But even in their 2 wins, I think you were on the call for the Colts game in week 1, the Bears game week 2, and then last week was just a bad performance by the Texans. Have they been, I don't know, Andrew, maybe a little underwhelming based on expectations coming into the year so far?
Yeah, I was there week 1 in Indianapolis. That was a really well-played game by both teams, and Houston found a way to get it done. What sticks out to me, Ryan, is that Joe Mixon was such a huge part of that week 1 win, and their offense has not looked the same the last 2 weeks because Mixon got hurt against the Bears, did not play against the Vikings. And I just feel like so much of their offense is built around the run. They can take those deep shots and play action. It just kind of opens up the field more. If they have that threat of Mixon running in between the tackles, you can use Tank Dell. There's just so many different pieces on this offense, but they need a running game. And I feel like that's, to your point, why they haven't looked great the last couple of weeks is because they haven't had a running game. And so to me, that's a huge part of the game on Sunday. Is Mixon going to play? If he does not play, can Cam Akers provide something which he really could not do in Minnesota against his former team? So, I think that's part of why Houston hasn't looked tremendous the last 2 weeks, but I saw what they're capable of week one when they scored 29 points.
A couple of more for Andrew Catalan of CBS Sports. He'll be on the call Sunday for the Jaguars and the Texans. Andrew, you've seen a lot of C.J. Stroud, no question about it. I know a lot of people love him. I think he's doing a very good job there as the starting quarterback in Houston. How do you feel his transition has gone from year one now into year number 2?
Yeah, he's really impressive. You sit with him in a production meeting, and he's all business. This guy wants to be great. He's very competitive, and I think that the continuity with keeping their offensive coordinator, Bobby Slowick. I mean, he was a guy that was interviewing for head coaching jobs. Everyone was praising the job that he did a year ago. He stayed in Houston. I think that's huge when you have a young QB and you have some continuity at the coordinator position. He's got the same quarterbacks coach as well. I think it all sets up for C.J. Stroud to have a big year. I mean, there was MVP talk over the summer. We've played 3 games. We'll see what happens with that. But I think that the preseason MVP talk is legitimate for C.J. Stroud. I think that's how talented he is and how good this offense can be. And now we'll see if they can do it on the field.
Andrew, as we begin to wrap up, I guess the one silver lining for Jaguar fans is at least the Titans are terrible too. There's 2 0-3 teams, and 2 of them reside in the AFC South. And Tennessee spent like $1 billion in free agency, yet it appears on the surface that they may have a Will Levis problem. Just your thoughts on the Titans at 0-3 right now.
Yeah, I mean, I've just, I haven't called one of their games yet, but just in watching them from afar, first-time head coach, Levis, still a young guy. I think that there was a lot of things wrong there the last couple of years. They obviously changed coach. They changed GM recently. I mean, I think that they're just trying to kind of find themselves a little bit, and I think they will. I mean, I think that they have enough good pieces where it'll be. I just question is when. And, and then you also look at the Colts, and Anthony Richardson he's a fascinating guy. I mean, he makes these incredible 60-yard throws in the air that you're saying, how did he do that? And then he'll miss like a simple 5-yard out. So, I feel like, there's some teams in this division that are still kind of searching at QB. I think that Jaguars fans would say right now they're searching, but at least Trevor has a body of work where you can say, all right, we know what he's capable of doing, and you just hope that he can get back to that if you're a Jacksonville fan.
Yeah, truthfully, I don't have a lot of optimism on Sunday in Houston, but if the planets align and Jacksonville finds a way to go in there and win, they're 1 game out of first place in the division. I mean, it'd be wild to think about that with as bad as the year has started for the Jaguars. Andrew, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville, you'll be on the call on Sunday, 1 o'clock, CBS. What can people look forward to?
Yeah, I think that in some ways, Ryan, a short week, even with the plane trouble and everything, might be a good thing for this team. I think that they just got to get back out on the field and play football. And I think so maybe that'll help them out. And then from a TV perspective, a new crew for me this year. Matt Ryan did a great job last year. He's in the studio now. So it's me, Tiki Barber, and Jason McCourty. I know a lot of people are familiar with Jason from Good Morning Football, and we're so happy to have him in the booth this year. So it's only our 3rd game together. Jason didn't do the 2nd game because he did the Jaguars-Browns with Chris Lewis. But we're excited, and hopefully we have a good game here to call on Sunday.
Andrew, I know you're busy. Appreciate the time. Rest assured, your fan base here in Jacksonville hasn't gone anywhere. When we found out Catalan was on the call, we were fired up. Great call on Sunday, man. We'll talk down the road.
All right, Ryan, anytime.
There you go, Andrew Catalan. Those were the good days of Jaguar football, at least this era, right? Catalan, it was the Jacksonville-Baltimore game that he called, the comeback in 2022. He called the Houston game last year in Houston where they missed the field goal at the end. Catalan's been on the call for some great moments for the Jaguars. So maybe, I don't know, we're looking for anything positive right now, right? After Monday night, anything positive is a good thing. Maybe the fact that Andrew Catalan's on the call for CBS, maybe that will mean something on Sunday. I'm picking at straws here, but what are you going to do after coming off a 47-10 beating at the hands of the Buffalo Bills? Speaking of that game, let's recap it a little bit, but more so, how do you correct the issues from that game? And then how do you go about stopping C.J. Stroud, Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins, Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter? It's tough. Jaguars are in a tough spot. We'll talk with Dave Campo, former head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. We get him every week here on Hacker After Dark. A little coaching with Campo next. Wednesday night, Jacksonville, Florida. We're glad you're with us here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
It's not reinventing the wheel, it's making it roll down the field.
Let's keep it rolling.
Listen for the Randy Marion Cadillac of Jacksonville drive of the game
That's a great drive right there.
on 1010XL.
Keep going. We got to keep going, keep going, keep going.
Hey folks, this is Dave Benyon with my son Ammon here from Zero Res. Ammon, you've been cleaning air ducts for a while now. What are some of the reasons customers might consider getting their air ducts cleaned?
There are many reasons. Many times, people suffer needlessly from poor indoor air quality produced by the conditions in their air system. Construction dust, the presence of bacterial growth, and years' worth of buildup all come together to make your air ducts a pretty gross place. If you suffer from allergies, have recently moved, recently remodeled, or have never had your air ducts cleaned, then now is the best time to call. By calling Zero Res, you'll have the peace of mind of knowing that you called the best of the best. Our state-of-the-art truck mount system and top-of-the-line service representatives simply can't be found anywhere else. Google Zero Res and read thousands of 5-star reviews.
So what kind of deals can I expect?
Just mention that you heard us on the radio, and we'll give you $100 off your air duct cleaning.
Wow, that sounds like a pretty great deal. Remember, folks, Zero Res,
spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
CEROREC. Zero Res.
Florida homeowners are going to extreme lengths to stay cool this summer.
We sit in front of the refrigerator with the door open and only eat frozen foods while they're still frozen and put ice cubes down our pants. Whoa, that's cold.
But the most popular and cost-effective way can be summed up by a quack. Just call Duck Duck Air Conditioning. For AC repairs to new installations, you too can beat the Florida heat with Duck Duck Air Conditioning, Jacksonville area's AC experts. Trust the Duck to keep your cooling costs low. DuckDuckAC.com.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today from GFL, Green for Life.
I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, Director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick, we're a 5-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $40,000 a year, and right now graduate making over $90,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition or no student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted to the program, your only cost are the books and the course fees. About $800 a year.
That sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org, and you can apply there.
Apply by November 7th.
Give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish. And he's listening to the Nimnicht Outdoor Show.
With tips and stories.
Presented by Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning.
Every Saturday morning, 7 to 10.
On 1010XL.
The average cost associated with childhood cancer is a startling $833,000. This is Tom Coughlin, and September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. Help the J Fund raise awareness to help our neighbors and community members tackling this devastating disease. Visit tcjfund.org/September for more information.
It's the best time of the year again. It's football season, and with football season here, fantasy football has arrived. And forget the season-long leagues. Underdog Fantasy and the Underdog Fantasy app is the way to go. I've been playing it now for almost a year, and it is just suits me to a T. First of all, it's simple, right? Just choose higher or lower on statistical projections or compete against others in player v player fantasy games. Either way, there's so many options. There's research there on the site. It's easy to use, and right now, you can get a little bit extra. That's right. Go to the mobile app or underdogfantasy.com. Sign up with the promo code PROSSER. They're going to give you a special to use on your first contest and a deposit offer. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code PROSSER, and claim your new customer offer. Do it right now, plus a first-time deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Got to be 18 or over, got to be present in the state where it's played, and call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org if you have a problem.
At the First Coast YMCA, you'll find much more than just a gym. We offer many ways to help you be active, reach weight loss goals, and find your inner strength while you connect with your community. Family memberships at the Y include unlimited group exercise classes, childcare while you work out, and youth sports participation. It's easy to join the Y and affordable for all. Plus, the Y is a great place to meet a new circle of friends. Visit the Y near you or online at fcymca.org.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, we are glad you are with us. The Jaguars and the Texans on Sunday in Houston, a 1 o'clock kick. You'll hear it right here on 1010XL. And the reality is the Jaguars are 0-3. It's their first division game on the road 6 days after one of the biggest embarrassments in the history of the franchise. So, with all that being said, let's welcome in the head coach, Dave Campo. We'll do a little Wednesday night coaching with Campo because of the odd week, because of the Monday night game. Coach joins us here on Hacker After Dark. Coach, how you doing, my friend?
Well, I'm a little bit over what happened on Monday night, but still, I'm looking forward to the next ball game. That's the only thing you can do right now.
You and I talked on the fifth quarter, and by the way, kudos to the Jaguar fan base, the 1010XL listeners. Thousands of people were watching us at 1:30 in the morning, Tuesday morning, technically, after the Monday night game, and we certainly appreciate it with Dave Campo, Leon Searcy, and myself there on the fifth quarter. Coach, you've now had a good 36, 40 hours or so to decompress from the game and the fifth quarter. Do you feel any different now than you did right afterwards?
Well, obviously, you say it all the time. The one thing about it is when you do a post-game show, there's a lot more emotion involved than there is, looking at specific situations. So I've had a chance to watch the game again. It changes a little bit because you're looking at things that need to be fixed. The concern that I have right now is that I'm seeing some things I'm not sure that can be fixed.
Well, let's dive right into that. What are some of the specifics there?
Well, first of all, we're not affecting the quarterback at all. And I think that it really showed its ugly head against Cleveland, and it got worse against Buffalo. When you've got a quarterback that can make plays, you better have some pressure, and we're not getting it out of our front four, that's for sure. It's almost like Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines Allen have regressed a little bit because they're not even getting a sniff of the situation. I think Josh Allen had one pressure. I think Armstead had one pressure and only from the inside, and that was it. Trayvon had zero. So, that's something that they're going to have to address with either, bringing more pressure or finding a way to get those guys free, whether it's putting them on different people during the course of the game. I'm not sure what that is. That's one for sure. The other one is, now you've got an injury with Cam Robinson on offense. And, the next one in is Walker Little, and Walker struggled a little bit when he got in there. So, those are some things I'm just nervous about whether or not we can get squared away.
Yeah, I've been very critical of General Manager Trent Baalke this week because, Coach, I can't remember how many times, but it's a bunch that you and I have sat right here on Hacker After Dark and said over the last 2 years that they have nothing to affect the quarterback behind Trayvon Walker and behind Joshua Hines-Allen. It was that way in 2023, and they got lucky because both guys were healthy and both guys had career years, but they still had nothing behind them. And now here we are a year later, and they still have nothing behind them. And at this point, it's arrogance, it's stubbornness, or it's incompetence by General Manager Trent Baalke as to why the edge pass rush position is in the situation that it's in.
Well, at this point right now, you have to kind of question decision making because, the guy that we missed the most, I hate to say it, is the guy that created Duval, and that's Arden Key. Because at least Arden Key was a guy that could come in situations and put some added pressure on, so you couldn't just say if you don't have one guy in there, you can move to another. We don't have one of those guys. We traded Gibson, who, in my opinion, at least brought some sack ability to the party. But it's not just that. It's just that we're not playing very well right now, and we don't have a situation where we have a backup that we can throw in and say, hey, look, you guys better play better or else we're making a change. Getting this guy a little bit more involved. We don't have one of those guys.
The head coach, Dave Campo, here with us on Hacker After Dark. You mentioned the offensive line. We don't know Anton Harrison's status. Doug Peterson earlier this week said it was going to be more of a day-to-day situation from listening to him. And, again, we'll get more clarity as the week goes on. I would say Anton is very questionable moving forward this week. That would mean Walker Little, presumably on the right side. He came in and had a couple of penalties, as you mentioned. I want to talk about Cam Robinson, Coach. He was terrible on Monday. I don't really know any other way to say it. He was awful. Can you light a fire under a guy in 6 days? I mean, Daniil Hunter and Will Anderson are waiting in Houston. That's probably not a good combination when your left tackle was as bad as Cam was on Monday night.
Well, when you look at the two of them, and I zeroed into them pretty good here since the ball game, and Harrison actually didn't play overly bad. He had a situation a couple times with number 40 for
Von Miller.
Them, but I mean, he makes a lot of people look a little bit shaky. But I'm hopeful that he's going to be ready. Cam, I don't know what the situation is with Cam. He's just not playing. I didn't have a problem with him sticking with Cam, but he's going to have to play better. And when you play against good rushers like these two we're fixing to work against, if he's not 100% ready to go, and then you don't have your right tackle, this could be an ugly situation, to be honest with you.
Now, look, you have been decades in the National Football League, and you know more about defensive strategies and things along those lines than 99.9% of people that are going to talk about this because of your experience. So try to dumb it down for us a little bit. But on the broadcast Monday night, when it comes to the secondary, boy, Orlovsky and Riddick were just giving the Jaguars all sorts of grief for being man-to-man, not getting pressure on the quarterback, and that's why the Buffalo Bills receivers were running wide open. I mean, did you have a problem with what Ryan Nielsen did on Monday night, and do they need to change things drastically moving forward?
Well, I think, and again, I'm not studying this like if I was there. I think there were a couple things that showed up to me. One is when you play a lot of man-to-man, you really need a solid pass rush, because what teams are going to do when you have a high percentage of man-to-man like we have, and I think that's Nielsen's philosophy, and I don't think he's going to change that much. When you do that, if the quarterback has time, the receivers know where they're going, and for a corner to be able to cover vertical and outside and inside, or those kind of things, very difficult. if the quarterback has time to throw the football. So all those crossing routes, like Keon Coleman catching that one across the field, it has to be mitigated. And what I mean by that is if you don't make the tackle on those things, it's big plays. And if the quarterback is hot, like Josh Allen, he doesn't need a big window. So those crossing routes are going to be open. And when you say wide open, I'm not sure there were a lot of wide open guys, but there were a lot of good throws and too much pressure on guys that have to cover. What has to mitigate that, in my opinion, is you either make tackles on those crossing routes and then live for another day, or you mix in some zone. And I think the only thing I see is we may be playing too much man-to-man, and we hadn't worked enough zone that when we do go zone, we're not playing it very well. So that combination is not good. It's almost the opposite of last year. Last year, I felt we played so much zone that when we went man-to-man, we couldn't cover anybody. This year, I feel like we're playing so much man-to-man that when we go zone, we can't do it because the guys are not used to playing it. So it's a catch-22, and that's a concern.
Couple more for the head coach, Dave Campo. He's with us here on Hacker After Dark. Coach, we know Foye Oluwakin is going to miss this game. Reportedly going to miss at least a couple of games moving forward. I guess that means more Chad Muma, more Ventrell Miller. Certainly a big deal. If it were you, or just your opinion on the matter, how do the Jaguars try to negate that as much as possible, losing one of their defensive leaders?
Well, first of all, I think, and again, it hasn't shown up to this point, but I felt that the one thing they did a good job with was understanding their personnel in preseason with how much they played the backup guys. Well, they're having to use them. And unfortunately, some of the young are not where they need to be at this point, but they have had a little bit of experience because they played quite a bit in practice during training camp. So you can't manufacture something that's not there. I think the biggest thing on defense is getting pressure on the quarterback, period. And I think that the only way they're going to mitigate that is they're going to have to do a little bit more pressure. And I don't mean it has to be all-out pressure. I mean it's got to be attacking protections, trying to stay out of the third longs, or get them into the third longs, more to where you have a chance to use some different protection attacks. So to me, whether it's Muma in there, whether it's Ventrell, they're just going to have to play what they play, and they're going to have to find ways to pressure the quarterback, or else it's not going to go well.
Coach, how bad is Trevor Lawrence playing right now?
Well, my concern is I think he's a little bit gun shy at times now because of the pressure that he's had on him. And, the only way I know how to handle that, this guy's got a lot of talent. And somehow you have to give him, take a little pressure off him, in my opinion. The only way I know how to do that is to be a little bit more aggressive in the running game. And play action where he has time, because when you look at this past game, the worst throw he had was when he had plenty of time. That was on the crossing route where he threw the ball over Seven's head and was intercepted by Buffalo. So that shows me that he's not comfortable at all right now. So somehow you have to take the pressure off of him. And if a team is playing man-to-man all the time and they're still getting pressure, even throwing the short ones become a problem, because there's still guys around, there's guys around where he's throwing the ball. So to me, it's got to be, they have to be a little bit more aggressive in how they run the football and get a little bit more play action in there where you get a little bit more maximum protection and take a little pressure off the young man.
Final moments with the head coach, Dave Campo. Coach, I want to end with the game in Houston. Before we get there, you certainly know a thing or two about the hot seat when you coach for Jerry Jones, and you, I'm sure, heard all the talk about that your final year in Dallas. You lived that life. So you can relate to this more so than anybody that we have the opportunity to speak to here, certainly. Doug Peterson's got to be hearing the noise, right? He knows people are upset. He's been through this before in Philadelphia. I mean, what's the demeanor of the head coach this week, in your opinion?
Well, first of all, I think he's going to be a little bit under pressure. I mean, I think that's human nature. But at the same time, as a football coach, you know that the tide changes from morning to night and night to morning. And so you know what you're getting into. And so that part of it from a competitive nature should push him to be, to make the decisions and the changes that have to be made if they have to be made. So from that standpoint, I think he needs to put a little bit more pressure on the assistant coaches to get in the meeting room and get after some people and tell them, look, I'm getting my butt chewed out because we're not playing the way we need to play. And we need to start doing something in this room. So, all of a sudden you start paying attention to a lot more little things. So I think it's a combination. I think he'll be under a little bit of pressure, but I think in this day and age with the patience level being small with ownership and fans, you know what you're getting into. So you just have to push through it.
Coach, final question. They were absolutely embarrassed on Monday night. There's no other way to say it. And they have to turn around basically 5.5 days later and go to Houston to play a division game on the road against C.J. Stroud, Stephon Diggs, and Nico Collins. Is there any cause for optimism that they could go in there and actually win that game on Sunday?
Well, the optimism is Carolina Panthers. They weren't supposed to beat anybody, and they just won a big ball game. So to me, every game is different. The matchups are different. All those things. This football team athletically matches up decent with Houston. They did it last year. And so to me, I went into the season feeling like there wasn't any football team that we would play that we couldn't win the football game. And I think that's the attitude they have to take. The problem is they haven't shown that from an attitude and effort level to this point, in my opinion. I think if we get ourselves irritated and competitive, we've got a chance in this ball game just like any other ball game.
You get the head coach, Dave Campo, every week here on Hacker After Dark. You hear him on XL Primetime. You really hear him all over the 1010XL airwaves. And, of course, you'll hear him this Sunday, 2 hours after the Jaguars and the Texans go final, with myself and the Pro Bowler Leon Searcy on another edition of the Fifth Quarter. Coach, I will see you Sunday night. Hopefully they surpass my expectations, and we're talking about a much, much needed victory for the Jaguars. Thank you as always, my friend.
You got it. And you're not the only one that has dashed expectations. So let's all be happy on Sunday evening.
Get entertaining insight on Sunday's games all day Monday.
They came together as a team.
Sink your teeth into Dandy Foods Postgame Monday.
It is a game.
Makers of quality fresh sandwiches and home of the good stuff on 1010XL. Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
It's time to take it back to the 90s, Jags fans. Be at the bank Sunday, October 6th, as we debut our Prowler throwback jerseys against the Colts and induct legendary head coach Tom Coughlin into the pride of the Jaguars at halftime. Kickoff is set for 1 p.m. You're not going to want to miss this matchup. Lock in your seats now by going to jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000.
Okay, everyone,
on. What did you think of the chocolate bar?
It's too chewy.
Feels kind of chalky.
Too much nougat.
I need to go brush my teeth.
Business is booming for Steph's small marketing research firm.
After all these focus groups, there's only one conclusion. I need more researchers.
And she's way too busy researching.
Does this have peanuts?
To waste time researching resumes.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Put our matching platform to work so you can spend less time searching and more time connecting with talented candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
The flagship station of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Hey, Hicken here. Are you tired of having your carpets professionally cleaned only to have them looking dingy again? Zero Res can help. I'll tell you what, they have the technology. Zero Res uses its patented ZR water that cleans beautifully without using any soaps, detergents, or shampoos. That means zero residue left behind. And guess what? Zero Res falling back in time for September. 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $129, and we'll clean a 4th room for free. That's right. The 4th room is on me. Zero Res, man. Spell it forward. Zero Res, spell it backwards. It's a right way to clean.
Here's your 1010XL First Coast Community Calendar.
Dreams Come True is a local wish-granting organization giving dreams and special times to local children battling life-threatening illnesses. Find out how you can help at dreamscometrue.org.
The Wounded Warrior Project provides what medicine and technology can't: community, counseling, and a second chance. Find ways to help at woundedwarriorproject.org.
If you're between ages 16 and 24, you can learn a career in construction, electrical, plumbing, or masonry with free training from the AMI Kids Florida Registered Free Apprenticeship Program. Call 576-7337.
There's a critical need for all blood types. Please consider donating at a local blood donation center.
If you could benefit from a grief and loss support group, call Haven Hospice at 279-1677.
If you're involved in a community event and you'd like us to help spread the word, find out how at 1010XL.com.
Brian Wall here. Would you take your paycheck, go to the bank, cash it, and then simply throw it up in the air? I didn't think so. But in a way, over the years, that is exactly what you're doing if you have old or builder-grade windows in your home. Even if you have a brand new home, those windows are not the best windows you can have to save on your energy bills. Window World has sold millions of replacement windows to homeowners like you, and Window World's customer satisfaction is the highest in the business. Please check Window World out yourself and save on your new windows and on your energy bills. Compare with other companies and you'll see Window World is simply the best for less. It's up to you. You can call Window World and get a free estimate, get the best guarantee in the window replacement business, save money on your new windows, and save more on your energy bills. Call Window World today at 904-443-7001 or go online to windowworldneflorida.com. Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors.
Mia here. When it comes to roofing, whether it be shingles, metal, or most repairs, there is one name that has protected your home since 1999. Pro-Jax Roofing. Serving all of Northeast Florida, Mike and his guys have been repairing and replacing roofs for 25 years. Need insurance help? Mike's team can help. Raised in a military family, Mike provides great attention to detail with unparalleled quality and workmanship. They also have warranties, so you can have peace of mind. Call Mike today for a free estimate or online at projaxroofinfl.com.
Hacker here, and the celebration continues on my countdown to 100 pounds. I'm now at 93.5 pounds with only 6.5 pounds to go. That will be a 100-pound swing in just over 6 months. Only a couple of more weeks to go, and I feel awesome. Life-changing and life-saving is what I like to say. Maybe you don't have 100 pounds to lose. Maybe it's 25 like Mike Dempsey or 40 like Matt Hayes. Whatever your number is, bring it to Awaken 180 and ask them how fast you'll reach it. But Hacker, I've tried other programs and diets before. Why will Awaken 180 work? That's simple, because if I can do it, anyone can do it. Remember, when I hit that 100-pound mark, we're going to celebrate. I'll keep you updated every week as I get closer, and you can even join in on the celebration. Pick up the phone and make your own 180. Call 844-346-1800 or online at awaken180weightloss.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Yes, it is. 1 hour down, 1 hour to go. We will take you up till 10 o'clock, as we do every night here on 1010XL 92.5 FM. Coming up at the bottom of the 9 o'clock hour, Ryan Fowler of Bleacher Report and the Draft Network. We'll do a little Jaguar AFC South talk with Ryan Fowler of Bleacher Report. That comes up in about 25 minutes or so. Coming up next, we'll shift gears to the world of college football. My buddy Ryan Roberts, A2ZSports.com, their national college football writer. Florida coming off a win over Mississippi State. The Gators have a bye week this week before UCF comes to town. What an interesting game that's going to be. Speaking of UCF, they get 3:30 on Fox this Saturday against Coach Prime in Colorado. Boy, when you think of Big 12 football, you obviously think of Colorado and UCF. What a 7-day period it could be for the Golden Knights. Deion Sanders in Colorado, national TV this Saturday, and then a trip to Florida for what is one of the biggest regular season games in UCF history next Saturday. So very, very interesting 7-day period for Gus Malzahn and the Golden Knights. Florida State coming off a win over Cal. They go to SMU. That's an interesting game, man. At night in Dallas. There's obviously hurricane stuff going on in Tallahassee. I'm not sure how that's going to affect Florida State's travel out to Dallas for a Saturday night game. I believe that's SMU's first ever ACC game. That could be a sticky spot for Florida State, who, again, coming off a win over Cal. And then you got the big one with Georgia traveling to Alabama. To this point, that'll be the biggest college football game we've had so far this year. So a very interesting Saturday on the horizon. Ryan Roberts, A2ZSports.com, talking Florida, Florida State, a little Georgia and Alabama, and more. He comes up next as we roll on till 10 o'clock. Hacker After Dark. Glad to be with you on a Wednesday here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
In every game, there's a guy who just makes plays.
He's their best home run hitter, an elusive generational type back.
Listen for the Universal Roof and Contracting Offensive Player of the Game. Experience the universal difference on 1010XL.
Awaken 180 weight loss. Awaken 180 weight loss. You know, you heard me talking earlier. I'm close to 100 pounds of weight loss. 100 pounds, man. It's incredible. I mean, I have everything to live for now. Myself, my family, my son, little Hack. I mean, I was in a bad way in February. There's no doubt about that. You're pushing 320 pounds, basically, is what I was. I was no way to live. I joined Awaken 180 Weight Loss. I heard Mike Dempsey and Matt Hayes talk about their success. I wanted to get involved. I joined Awaken 180, and I'm on the doorstep to 220 pounds, down triple digits. If you need to lose a lot of weight like I did, or if you need to lose 20, 30, 40 pounds, anything in between, go to awaken180weightloss.com, awaken180weightloss.com. Take it from a guy who's lost almost 100 pounds on this program. It works. Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Here's Linda Beaver.
Hey everyone, it's football season and we wanted to go to the drawing board to make this year's predictions. Let's compare our two blonde all-stars. Most touchdowns, best pricing in the market. Most passing yards, gives the most for your trade. Most receptions, free oil changes with every purchase. Super Bowl champion, wow customer service. This looks like a winning season for everyone. Come see Beaver Toyota in St. Augustine or Beaver Chevrolet in Jacksonville, where you can score big all season long.
Bueller Air and Plumbing presents Are You Cool?
Today's contestant, a dust bunny breeder from Jacksonville, Florida, meet Steve Johnson. Welcome to the show, Steve.
It's great to be here, Alex.
Yeah, you don't have to answer in the form of a question, Steve.
What is this game show?
See, that's another question.
Are you going to ask me about air conditioners?
Yeah, okay. How about we just send the Bueller guys over and you can annoy them with all your questions? Johnny?
That's right, Steve. Bueller Air and Plumbing can answer all your air conditioning questions. Repair options, replacement models, and how to make your AC last longer while saving electricity. Making sure you are cool.
Where is the parking lot?
You're killing me, Steve.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Hey, Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
This is Mark Nato. My sons and I have seen the doctors and PAs at Southeast Ortho for everything from lumbar spine stress to elbow tendonitis. Southeast has always been there, been truthful, and always been on point. Everything they say happens. We can't thank them enough for what they've done and the great care that they have taken of our sons.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Get more Gators on the Gator Bites podcast presented by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists with new episodes every Friday. Subscribe and listen by searching for 1010XL's Gator Bites podcast wherever you find podcasts and at 1010XL.com.
This is Walker Little of your Jacksonville Jaguars for Kingfish Pest Control. I've been a Kingfish customer for a while now and can confirm that their service is incredible. Not only do they protect my family from pests, Kingfish's office staff is the friendliest around. They even email me a photo of the tech before arriving at my home. Kingfish Pest Control is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Be sure to enter their Swat That Kick sweepstakes for free pest control for 3 years. Go to kingfishpest.com and tell them Walker Little sent you.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
Instant Keys saves the day if you have lost or broken keys. They can program new keys and remotes for nearly every make and model of vehicle at a fraction of the dealership cost. Fast, honest, and reliable locksmith service. Call 722-1111.
Instant Keys. Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
Are you looking for a place to outfit your truck or van? It's Catlin Truck Accessories. For 105 years and 4 generations, Catlin is the name you can count on. This is Keith Catlin, and we know trucks and vans too, from Lear toppers, ladder racks, van shelving, strobe lighting, rolling lot bed covers, and everything in between. If you want quality products and great customer service, there's only one name. It's Catlin.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
For 105 years, you can count on Catlin.
Has someone you care about been arrested or had their driver's license taken away? I'm Susan Cohen, and I work with David Robbins at the law firm of Epstein & Robbins. We are experienced fighters for those charged with DUI, domestic violence, and all criminal offenses. In your battle with the justice system, there's only one thing you need to know. Dial David 24/7 at Epstein & Robbins, 354-5645. 354-5645.
At the First Coast YMCA, you'll find much more than just a gym. We offer many ways to help you be active, reach weight loss goals, and find your inner strength while you connect with your community. Family memberships at the Y include unlimited group exercise classes, childcare while you work out, and youth sports participation. It's easy to join the Y and affordable for all. Plus, the Y is a great place to meet a new circle of friends. Visit the Y near you or online at fcymca.org.
Wow, John, my Clearwater sprinkler system looks great.
All right, Frank, let's go ahead and program your Rainbird timer. How many minutes do you want the zones to run?
John, I think we run from the front 20, the sides 15, the back 10, the garden 5. Clearwater scores!
Well, that's a first, Frank, but you're the boss.
Clearwater Irrigation. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at sprinklers.
And drainage to
ClearwaterJacks.com. 1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, we are glad you are with us. Boy, Florida and Florida State got much needed wins this past weekend. Florida now enjoys a bye week before a big tilt against UCF. Florida State, after a win, goes on the road to take on SMU on Saturday night, which will be an interesting contest. And then, of course, college football-wise, probably the biggest game of the year comes up on Saturday when Georgia takes on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Let's talk about all of it with my buddy Ryan Roberts, national college football writer for A to Z Sports.com. And Ryan is always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Ryan, how we doing, man?
Doing well, man. Doing well. It's been a little bit of a chaotic NFL and college football season so far this year, man. But it gives us a lot to talk about, obviously, and appreciate you having me on as always.
Yeah, absolutely. You and I spoke right when the college football season kicked off, so about a month ago. And if I were to tell you at that point that combined Florida and Florida State would be 3-5 through the first 8 weeks, or through the first 4 weeks, 4 games combined for each. I mean, look, Florida at 2-2 probably wouldn't have shocked people. I think Florida State at 1-3, Ryan, would have shocked people. Let's begin with the Noles. What has gone wrong there?
Yeah, it's been kind of crazy to kind of sit back and watch, because I remember when we had our conversation, I had said, like, there's a possibility that there's a regression here, obviously, with that, all the players you lost, and the fact that Florida State is just so adamant on transfer portal over high school recruiting. So, like, the stability and just kind of the volatility is going to be kind of a topic of conversation on a year-to-year perspective. So I did expect Florida State to take a step back this year. But when I said take a step back, I meant, like, maybe they go 9-3, not like a dumpster fire early in the season, right? So it's been wild to kind of just watch. I think the biggest things for me is that the last 2 years, when you talk about just kind of the hits you had in the transfer portal as a program, you're talking about guys like Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson and Jared Verse and Braden Fisk. And I mean, it felt like Florida State didn't miss in the transfer portal the last couple of years. I mean, you can even go back a little further and say, like, Trey Benson was a transfer at one point. The Jordan Travis was a transfer. Like, so Florida State has done a tremendous job in the transfer portal and acquiring that talent that has experience behind them a little bit. This offseason, I think the fact that you haven't recruited the high school route great caught up to you, because I don't think this transfer portal haul has worked out at all. I mean, we could talk about DJ Uyunglele, we could talk about a couple of the other guys, the young wide receiver core. Like, unfortunately, the defections that you had, you weren't able to fulfill it with, good transfer portal acquisitions. So I think this is the volatility of being so heavily dependent on the transfer portal. Some of the best in college football are going to take transfers in. I mean, like the University of Georgia, Alabama, like, they're going to take transfers, but they're also going to kick butt in high school recruiting and still build up the roster that way. So I think it was just some transfer portal misses this offseason, and I think just kind of the early bad play, I think it's been a little bit of a shock to Florida State system. And honestly, like, I think there's some players that just aren't playing overly hard. So I'm kind of worried about just kind of how quickly Mike Norvell can kind of flip the script here and get the guys kind of buying back in, because, a rough start like this is a chance for a awful season. Like, it's been a terrible start, but, like, you're hoping that you can at least find some success down the stretch. I mean, there's a possibility that this thing snowballs, and this is a absolutely terrible campaign overall.
Ryan Roberts, A to Z Sports.com. Really quick with Florida State, because I want to get to the Gators, Ryan. 1-3. So they got to go 5-3 at minimum to make a bowl game. And when you think about at Notre Dame, at Miami, Clemson, Duke even, I mean, that's going to be a tough game. I mean, there are some tough games left on the schedule. You look at this SMU game on the road Saturday night. I mean, if Florida State wants to go bowling, this is a game Saturday that they basically have to win, do they not?
Yeah, they have to, I think. Yeah, because you almost have no margin for error at this point to be able to make a bowl game and to hopefully be able to build back some momentum. But SMU's a tough team, man. Like, they didn't get off to the greatest start the first couple of games that I thought they were going to. But that team under Rhett Lashley, because they've had a little bit of a, their quarterback was Preston Stone, and he was injured and not playing overly well. And they've kind of went to Kevin Jennings, who's kind of a little bit of a younger quarterback. I think he's either a true sophomore or a redshirt sophomore, somewhere in that ballpark. But so they had a little bit of, back and forth in the quarterback position. But when that team is humming and they're moving along well, they are a team that, coming over into the ACC this year, like, they have some pieces, both offensively, defensively, that can present a lot of issues. So I mean, if I had to pick, like I would pick SMU to win this weekend against Florida State. So they need to come out and they need to beat the Mustangs, and they need to kind of, I think they almost need to, I don't want to say handily, because at this point, like you just need to win a football game. But I do think that there's a decisiveness that you do need to see with this football team to even have a little bit of optimism to begin to ring in. Because, like, yeah, you beat Cal, but, you know, on paper, you're a much more talented football team than Cal. The biggest issue with Florida State has just been that they are more talented than every team that they've played on paper so far this season, but they just aren't playing good football, and they don't have any confidence. So, yeah, I think they need to beat SMU, but it's going to be tough sledding, man, because that SMU team, although they got off to a little bit of a slow start, they're starting to pick it up a little bit, and they have a lot of pieces that are really exciting.
And I would have to think that'll be a big deal. Saturday night, I believe it's the ACC opener for SMU. They just came off giving TCU a beating last week, so they're feeling pretty good about things. That'll be a tough putt for Florida State. When it comes to Florida, it's not much better. They got a much-needed win. The one thing about Florida, Ryan, I'll say is this. If we're going to rip Billy Napier for the losses to Miami and A&M, which certainly I have, give him credit in the good times as well, with all the, quote, noise in the system surrounding him and the program, to go on the road, albeit Mississippi State isn't any good. I don't want to say they're good because they're not, but it was still a conference road game to go in there and win by 17. That had to feel pretty good for Napier and the staff to get back on the winning track, at least for a short amount of time.
I mean, I'm not a big fan of getting rid of coaches just in season in general. I think that there's a lot of backlash and there's a lot of negativity that can surround that. But usually when you do see kind of people moving on or programs moving on from coaches, it usually happens during bye weeks. And I know the Florida bye week is still a couple weeks out, I believe, if I remember correctly, on their schedule. So nothing was ever going to happen early season. But I will say this, Ryan, if they would have lost to Mississippi State, and they were making it interesting there for a little bit after, they were kind of dominating, and then they kind of let them come back in, and they end up, obviously finishing the game off. But if they would have lost that football game, it would have been a tough conversation to have after that, as far as like, what the heck do you do next with Billy Napier? So I think that it was a win that he needed to just kind of calm the nerves internally, to also to out, the external nerves a little bit as well, right? So I think they needed that victory. I will say this, though, it feels like a matter of time with the Napier thing ending. I don't know if it's going to be during the season. I don't know if it's going to be after the season. But barring some catastrophic change, and maybe you go to a DJ Lagway, and although he's going to make mistakes a lot more than maybe a Graham Mertz will, I mean, he might actually win you a game that maybe you shouldn't win on paper, potentially, just based upon making some incredible plays. So it's a great debate to have. But honestly, like, there's going to have to be something unforeseen that happens moving forward for Napier to calm, just a little bit of the hot seat right now, because, it's not going away anytime soon if he doesn't have a couple big victories at some point this season.
Couple more for Ryan Roberts, A2ZSports.com. He's here with us talking college football on 1010XL. I agree. I never thought it was going to happen this early in the year. The next 3 games might tell the story, because Florida is on a bye this week, but we're so early in the year. Then you got UCF at home, Kentucky at home, and at Tennessee. And I want to focus, Ryan, on the next 2 games, 2 home games, UCF and Kentucky. Do I expect Florida to win both of those games beginning a week from Saturday? No, I don't. But imagine a world, and stay with me here, where Florida does beat UCF and where Florida does beat Kentucky. Certainly that's plausible. Will it happen? Debatable, but it's plausible. It could happen. And if it does happen, all of a sudden you're 4-2. And I think Florida fans, a lot of them, might have taken 4-2 through the first 6 games if you were to ask him at the beginning of the season. So Napier, these next 2 games to me are going to tell his story, because they're going to go to Knoxville and they're going to get crushed before the bye week going into Georgia. I'm not proclaiming anything about the Tennessee game. To me, it's all about UCF and Kentucky. And if Florida wins, well, then Napier's got some cred. If they lose one or both of those games, I think he's probably gone after the Tennessee game.
So I'll say this about Kentucky. I know they played Georgia obviously very close, and Georgia ended up winning 13-12. But I do think that that's a winnable game for Florida. I'm just not overly high on Kentucky. I know defensively they're very good, but offensively it's a very below average group, man. Like it has been a struggle bus for the for the Kentucky Wildcats on the offensive side of the football. So I think that's a game that will be interesting. I actually expect that the spread on that game is not going to be crazy. Like, I think that Florida could win that football game. I'll say this, though. I'll say this because I agree. If you win those two games, you quiet it down a little bit and you're entering a stretch where nobody expects you to win, right? So, like, it's not like you're going to do anything in that stretch that's going to shock people other than maybe having an upset. But I think that you need to beat UCF if you're Florida. Like, you have to, because I think that it's the look of it, right? Like, you are the Florida Gators. And even though we knew that this season probably wasn't going to be the greatest, and we knew that there was still holes in this roster, and, you know, the Billy Napier era might be coming close kind of soon, you know, whenever it does happen, you are still the Florida Gators, a proud brand in college football. And you are among, when people talk about the blue bloods, like, Florida is going to be a part of the conversation. They always are, because of just historically what they have been to college football. UCF's your little brother. I mean, whether they're playing better than you or not, like, UCF is not viewed on the same wavelength or the same level as the Florida Gators. So I think that they need to win that football game just flat out. If you lose that game, man, it's going to be a little tough. It's going to be a little tough for the defenders and for people that are trying to, you know, make the case for Billy Napier, because, again, just kind of the look of it, the appeal of it, that is a team that you should always be better than, and you should treat as your little brother at the end of the day. So win that game, and then maybe win a hard-fought game against Kentucky. Or even if you lose a hard-fought game with Kentucky, I don't think it's the end of the world. But I really think that UCF game is, like, one that I have circled on this schedule, because it's like, man, if you lose that game against a team that is perceived as the little brother in the home state, that could get a little bit of a tough conversation moving forward.
No, I agree. And I actually flipped the games. UCF is next, then at Tennessee, and then home against Kentucky. But the point remains the same. Those two home games you probably need to win. If you're 4-3 going to the bye before Georgia, all right. If you're anything less than 4-3, you would then have 2 weeks after Kentucky to figure it out. By the way, UCF's got a heck of an opportunity. They play Dion in Colorado on Saturday, national TV, and then they go to Gainesville a week from Saturday. What a 7-day period it could be for Gus Malzahn and UCF. And Ryan, that brings us to this. Maybe the game of the year to this point in college football, with Georgia traveling to Alabama on Saturday. And what's interesting, this could be the first part of certainly a two-parter and maybe a trilogy, right? With the SEC championship, the 12-team playoff, I would think there's definitely a better chance than not you'll see this game again. You could see it 3 times this year with where we are in college football. What are your thoughts on the Dogs and the Crimson Tide on Saturday?
Man, it's a fascinating game, because I actually just did a deep dive into Alabama, and I've been watching Georgia every single week. But there's some of the consistencies that you always expect with that rivalry over the last X amount of years, right? Like, both teams are stellar on the defensive line. I mean, like, Georgia, that's just become a requisite at this point. But Alabama, like, this is maybe the deepest defensive line in college football, in my opinion, man. Like, they got this transfer from Texas A&M, LT Overton, who's been playing great football. Tim Keenan at nose guard has been an absolute pleasure to watch. They still have guys like Tim Smith. Like, this is a defensive line that I think 1 through 8 to 9 is probably the deepest in college football. And one thing that Georgia's always been built upon is they're going to establish the run, but they haven't been a great running team yet. Now they have Trevor Etienne back, and I think that unit just is going to continue to get better. But my main concern with Georgia right now, and I just wrote an article about it at A to Z actually, is that, like, my biggest concern with Georgia right now is I think we didn't talk enough about them losing Brock Bowers and Ladd McConkey this offseason, because they're just – I just don't think they're as explosive of a big play team as they've been the last couple of years. Because, like, yes, they're a running football team, but what has made them such a potent offense, though, is that, like, Stetson Bennett on play action, Carson Beck off play action, like, they can create some explosive plays down the field because they've always had speed at receiver. They've also had speed at tight end, obviously, with a guy like Brock Bowers. So I think Alabama, for me, like, I'm going to pick Alabama to win this football game, actually, because I look at Alabama and I say I think they can match the strengths of Georgia well. But I think the one thing that I give the big advantage to right now is I have a lot more confidence that Jalen Milroe in this Alabama offense and Ryan Williams, the true freshman, and, you know, Kobe Prentice and those types of guys, like, they're going to be able to create a couple chunk plays in this football game, which if they're able to create a couple of chunks and Georgia's not able to, I think that's going to be the difference in the football game. So I think it's Alabama's explosiveness over Georgia right now that I give the slight edge to, and I think that just overall they're going to kind of cancel each other out with the strength versus strength in the trenches. But I really think that the wide receivers for Alabama, Jalen Milroe, a dynamic dual-threat quarterback, I think that's going to be the difference in this football game.
Ryan Roberts, A to Z Sports.com. Ryan, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville, man, A to Z Sports, what they can look forward to this week when they head on over to the website.
Yeah, I hope everybody's enjoying it so far. We just launched college football, right before the season started. So if we covered kind of the main blue bloods of college football. If you're a Georgia fan, Alabama fan, Ohio State fan, Notre Dame fan, we covered all over there. And then obviously I'm doing a lot of the national stuff. So if you just kind of want, some stock reports and just kind of how teams are trending and some underrated players in college football, all that type of stuff, you can go over to A to Z Sports for that stuff. If you want NFL draft coverage, I'm also leading a lot of that so far this year. So if your team is unfortunately not trending in the right direction, you can also go over to the NFL draft label on A to Z Sports. And I am at Rise and Draft on Twitter. And if you want any directs to the website, you can find it there in the bio and everything. And hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of the college football season.
He's one of our favorites, Ryan Roberts, A to Z Sports.com. Ryan, thank you as always. We'll do it again in a couple of weeks.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you for your time.
Every team has bumps and bruises, but a major injury can shake the season.
Let me know if he's ever going to play football again, or do I need to find me another wide receiver?
Listen for the personal injury attorney's Farah and Farah Injury Update. Jacksonville on 1010XL.
Yo, it's your boy E to the T, and our listeners continue to bet and win big with MyBookie. If you haven't bet with MyBookie yet, those folks are still running the double deposit bonus. Just sign up using promo code 1010XL. We have a huge week starting with college and NFL games Thursday night. Get signed up now for Virginia Tech traveling to Miami. The Hurricanes are a 17-point favorite with an over-under of 55.5 points at MyBookie. With the way the Hurricanes have been scoring, covering that spread looks like a no-brainer. And how about Thursday night football divisional matchup? The Cowboys traveling to New York to take on the Giants. The Giants are a 4.5-point home underdog. If you think the Giants will keep it close, take those 4.5 points. For a limited time, MyBookie is bringing back the double deposit bonus. Use promo code 1010XL to claim that bonus on your very first deposit. You heard that right. Double your money with promo code 1010XL before even placing a bet. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. Come on, somebody.
The average cost associated with childhood cancer is a startling $833,000. This is Tom Coughlin, and September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. Help the J Fund raise awareness to help our neighbors and community members tackling this devastating disease. Visit tcjfund.org/September for more information.
Mad Men Marketing, Jacksonville's original digital ad agency, is now able to get your ads placed on Amazon Prime Video. Their digital experts are some of the few digital marketers approved to insert on Amazon Prime Video. Call their digital consultants at 355-1766 to learn how you can use Amazon Prime Video to grow your business and increase sales. Mad Men Marketing. Interact. Don't interrupt.
Brackish Vodka, the official vodka of UNF Athletics, 100% made in Jacksonville, is available at all local liquor stores. Visit Browdy's, Total Wine, ABC, Shores, Golden, Sahara's, Golden Ox, and more. Drink our gluten-free San Francisco Spirit award-winning vodka and see why it's the smoothest vodka you can buy. When you drink Brackish Vodka, you support all of our local employees and all the money stays in Jacksonville. Drink Brackish Vodka and live life slightly salty. Proud partner of the Jaguars.
1010XL's running game takes a giant step forward.
Well, Fred Taylor is the whole package.
Fred Taylor joins Dan and Jeff on the drill. Monday morning running back with Fred Taylor is fueled by Epstein and Robbins and Monahan Jewelers.
Googa Nation, it's Dreamfinders Danny Hicken here to tell you this is no dream. The folks at Dreamfinders Homes right now have an unbeatable interest rate for you. You may not think you can afford a Dreamfinders home. Well, think again. Take advantage of a 2.99% year one rate. I said it, 2.99%. 15 Jacksonville communities to choose from. Find that dream house and take advantage of an unbeatable rate. Move now, literally. Dreamfinders Homes, the official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Atlantic Self-Storage, the official storage partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Need to make room to watch football in your home or need a place to park your boat or RV? Store it all at Atlantic Self-Storage. Over 50 locations in Northeast Florida. 24-hour access, all with month-to-month leases. Moving, they can help with supplies. They make storage easy. Go to AtlanticSelfStorage.com or call 877-WE-STORE to find a storage solution near you. Go Jags!
Got a cracked windshield? Not only is it dangerous, but did you know it's also illegal? Call Baker Glass. Mack and his crew use the best auto glass in the market, and they accept most insurance. Plus, all new windshields come with a full warranty. From cars, to trucks, to RVs, you can count on Baker Glass to be fast and friendly. Just check out their Google reviews. Come see us at the shop on Casta Avenue, or we can come to you at your home or business.
I'm back with Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
Expert Automotive on St. John's Bluff Road has some of the highest Google reviews in Jax for a reason. Expert Auto never sells greed, only what you need. All makes and models are serviced at Expert Automotive. This month, get an alignment inspection for only $19.99. Expert Auto does major engine and transmission repair and simple maintenance. All services done at Expert Auto by our ASC certified training technicians. Call today, 374-3373, and ask about $50 off any service. Expert Automotive. We never sell greed, only what you need.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
It's wasted time.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The Jaguars and the Texans Sunday at 1 o'clock. Of course, you'll hear the game right here on 1010XL. And the question this week is, where do we go from here, right? Why were we so wrong about the Jacksonville Jaguars? Arguably the worst team in the NFL right now, coming off a 47-10, just absolute dismantling at the hands of the Buffalo Bills, and there are a lot more questions here in Duval County right now than there are answers. Let's try to find some of those answers with my buddy Ryan Fowler. He does a terrific job covering the NFL for Bleacher Report, also does a great job for the Draft Network, and Ryan is always kind enough to give us some time here on 1010XL. Ryan, how we doing, man?
I'm doing well, Ryan. Always appreciate you having me on.
Ryan, thank you. You and I were talking offline earlier, and you and I had talked the entire offseason. This is the first conversation we've had since the regular season began. Ryan, I'm stunned. I was at training camp every day, in the locker room every day. I did not see this coming. 0-3, arguably the worst team in the NFL right now. You cover it on a national basis. Maybe I'm just too close to it here. Are you as surprised as we are at the way the Jaguars looked, or I guess didn't look on Monday night?
I'm very surprised, Ryan, at the end of the day. And it's the biggest thing for me, looking at this Jaguars roster right now, where obviously there were expectations, there were playoff expectations heading into this year, and you look at this roster right now, and in the grand scheme of things, you could try to stay positive and say it's early, but right now the Jaguars are going to have to play and rely on themselves being an outlier if they want to make the playoffs and punch their ticket. The vision around them has been underwhelming away from who they see this week in the Houston Texans, which is going to be a heck of a challenge for them. But it's wasted talent for me right now. And I think the Jaguars have to find something to where is it a talent acquisition issue, whether it's the draft, whether it's free agency from the GM down, or is it a situation when it's coaching? It's Press Taylor, it's Ryan Nielsen, it's Doug Peterson at the end of the day, and getting these guys ready to play and coaching and player development, which was overlooked, Ryan, at the end of the day, because we do live in this microwave society to where you plug and play and you just expect guys to develop into even a Trayvon Walker comparison, to develop into all pros first year or two in their career. That's just the society we live in nowadays. But when I look at this Jaguars roster fundamentally, heading into the year, this was a team you looked at on a spreadsheet. You looked at on a depth chart, and there's talent on either side of the ball. But that doesn't win you games in the NFL. You have to execute. Against the Browns, they did not execute, and they sure as heck did not execute on Monday Night Football on the road in Buffalo, where it's a tough environment. But this team has a long way to go. I don't know what the immediate future holds for this team fundamentally, Ryan, but they got to look at themselves in the mirror. That starts with Trevor Lawrence. That starts with Doug Peterson. and trying to at least get back on the tracks and win a game here or there to try at least to compete fundamentally this year.
Ryan, I know you did a lot of work on Trevor Lawrence, your job with the Draft Network when he was coming out, and we've talked about that over the years. I mean, Ryan, he's worse now than he was 2 years ago. It's not even close. He's been bad. I mean, as bad as Monday night was, that's one of the marquee plays. He has Brian Thomas Jr. wide open across the middle, a clean pocket, and he just airmailed it to Damar Hamlin for the interception. I mean, in your opinion, man, what is wrong with Trevor Lawrence right now?
Yeah, when I look at Trevor, it's another guy that has all the talent in the world to be whatever he wants to be. But unfortunately, it's not coming together for him right now. And I know last night, just specifically, in one game, 24 pressures allowed from that front five is never going to make things easy on a quarterback. But this is a $250,000 quarterback that you bet on, that you put your franchise on. And you expect a talent like that, no matter who's on the outside. And they've made additions, obviously, to bring in the guys like Gabriel Davis and guys around him like Travis Etienne. They've made additions along the front five to boost that group as well. But Trevor, I think right now, is trying to do a little too much and trying to elevate the skill sets around him. But at the end of the day, you just mentioned it. Missing Brian Thomas wide open down the field is something that you expect Trevor Lawrence to hit 100 out of 100 times. Not 99 out of 100, 100 out of 100 times. It's unacceptable considering the monetary compensation which he's making and the expectations fundamentally around him and the expectations around this offense to lead this group and also to lead a group, allow this defense to where they're not going to be perfect this year. Still got a lot of questions in the secondary as well. Reason they brought in guys like DeAndre Prince and Jerry Jones are younger names at the linebacking core of these last few years. Trayvon Walker up front. But Trevor Lawrence, fundamentally, is looked upon to be this guy that's going to lead this franchise, the good, the bad, the ugly, which is what we're at right now at 0-3. And I think he's doing too much under center right now. And Press Taylor and him got to sit down and have legitimate conversations. It's not like we're going to go to QB2, not like we're going to bench the kid, because it didn't work out, unfortunately, for Mac Jones last night either. Just nothing went right for the Jaguars on Monday night. It hasn't gone right in 3 weeks. And the attention is going to be on Trevor Lawrence, as it should be, because what we're seeing right now from him is flat out not good enough, considering the capital which they've given to him as their fans of the franchise.
Ryan Fowler, Bleacher Report, and the Draft Network here with us on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Look, there are conversations about Ryan Nielsen, the defensive coordinator. You mentioned Press Taylor, the offensive coordinator. But I'm going to skip both of those guys, and I'm going to go right to the cheese, right to the guy. Doug Peterson is the head coach of this football team. Doug Peterson was brought here to work with Trevor Lawrence to get Trevor Lawrence to where we all think he can get to. And Trevor Lawrence is worse now in 2024 by a wide margin, Ryan, than he was in 2022. And it's happened very quickly, don't get me wrong, but this is how it happens in the NFL. I think that Peterson hot seat is in full swing. The fans here are very angry. You had Shad Khan, the owner, whose comments went viral last night, his comments from back in July saying this is the best Jaguar team ever and the expectation is winning. I can't begin to imagine what the owner of the Jaguars thought in watching that fiasco in Buffalo. And I think all of a sudden, very quickly, the heat is on Doug Peterson here in Northeast Florida.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And you listened to Doug last night, and I thought personally, as a head coach, looking at if I'm a player, one of the guys in that 53 that was active, and, I see my coach even after the game smiling, kind of joke around with some media members. That doesn't sit well with me, at least for me as an individual and me as a player. In that situation, you just got absolutely embarrassed on a national spotlight in a game that you're at least from a baseline perspective supposed to be competitive at. And Doug Peterson now, of course, the expectation coming into Jacksonville, coming off of where he won a Super Bowl in Philadelphia, was we want to do the same in Jacksonville. Is it a situation to where he's just – I don't think it's a situation to where it's maybe the love for the day-to-day grind of what it is as a head coach, offense, defense, special teams, leading a roster. I don't think that's an issue. He talked about potential changes in all three phases of the game. To what level does that mean? We're going to see this week. I think you should. I think the level of which the Jaguars are playing right now, it's Carolina, it's Tennessee. It's absolutely down there, away from just an 0-3 record. So all the attention should be on Doug Peterson. All the attention should be on the orchestrator of this roster and Trent Baalke. And all the attention, as we mentioned earlier, should be on Trevor Lawrence and lifting this roster to be what it should be. And as I mentioned at the top, Ryan, I hate to see wasted talent because fundamentally there's talent in all three phases of the game for the Jaguars, but they're not getting ready to play. Whether that's practice, you've been out at training camp all summer, practices all year long. If it's not executing and they're not translating the game, something has to change. And if it doesn't, then you're going to start raising pitchforks and things are going to get even worse here very, very soon for Jacksonville.
And the thing with me, too, and I've had to eat a lot of crow this week. I was wrong. I gave Trent Baalke, the general manager, a very good grade this offseason. I thought he did a good job. And there are still aspects of what Baalke did that I like, but I had two caveats the entire offseason. I trusted him with the offensive line, even though I didn't like only bringing in Mitch Morse. The offensive line has been awful. I'm tired of watching Cam Robinson play left tackle, to be honest. I don't care what happens there, but they need to get a new left tackle. Don't even get me started on that. And then defensively, and you and I talked about this, I know, this offseason, and it was the same thing last year. Joshua Hines-Allen and Trayvon Walker. Good. All right, that's fine. They have nothing behind those guys to affect the opposing quarterback. Now, I don't know if it's arrogance by Baalke. I don't know if it's stubbornness. I don't know if it's incompetence. Or maybe the fact that he drafted Walker number 1, that doesn't seem to be working out very well, and he doesn't want to bring in veteran edge rushers because that might undermine his Walker pick. Whatever it is, Josh Allen had a billion seconds to throw the ball on Monday night. They didn't touch him, I don't think, behind the line of scrimmage. It was, again, the word, embarrassing, and we all saw it. We all knew they needed help at pass rusher. Ryan, if we saw it, how does the general manager making millions of dollars not see that?
Yeah. I mean, I just looking at this pass rush, I went in and watched the All-22 this morning, and, you mentioned it, Ryan, as far as the lack of talent behind Trayvon and Josh. Away from, everything that correlates to every single level on defense. I like what I've seen in spurts from Foye Olakun, who obviously left that game last night, Chad Mooma, Devin Lloyd. They've had their spurts. But when things aren't clicking up front and you can't pressure a guy like Josh Allen, now he's an outlier at the position, one of the best, most electric talents really to play the position over the last 10, 15 years in the NFL, in my opinion. But overall, you got to have guys, 3, 4, 5 guys you can go to get after the quarterback, because this team, from a draft perspective, brought in guys like Yasir Abdullah or guys like Mason Smith, or you look at guys like Eric Armstead, uninvolved for me along this front four. Tyler Lacey was a guy out of Oklahoma State playing nose tackle, was someone that I was very underwhelmed with in the pre-draft process. Coming in is now a starter there. They haven't made additions, and not only just make additions, but continue to say, look, it's not good enough here. We're going to continue to try to add guys. And I just mentioned a guy like Mason Smith at the end of the day, who had 15 pass rush snaps last night, pulling up my numbers even here as we're speaking, Ryan. But guys that are uninvolved. And whether it's just fundamental pressure, winning in isolated matchups, because by no means I look at this Bills front five as one of the elite groups away from Deion Dawkins at left tackle. But they got to create pressure with Mooma, with Lloyd, sending pressures, being creative up front whether it's a tight front, bare front, odd front, even be creative in what you're doing and not hanging your linebackers and hang out your safeties and your corners to dry. Because at points in that game last night that I saw, Ryan, they were relying on Antonio Johnson to create pressure, similar to what Alontae Taylor does down in New Orleans. It's unacceptable from the front seven, and you're leaving your corners out to dry, and we already know the lack of talent fundamentally that's there in the corners room. So right now, it's I don't want to call it a dumpster fire, but at 0-3, and I know Jaguars fans out there, they're just, and yourself, that are really just left at a loss for words as far as what's going on. It starts for me at the core, where you spend a lot of your money, a lot of picks. That's what Trayvon, that's what Josh Hines-Allen, and that's on offense with Trevor Lawrence. The big dog's got to step up and make plays. And right now, through 3 weeks, it is early, but those guys flat out have not been good enough for me.
Final moments, Ryan Fowler, Bleacher Report, and the Draft Network. That brings us to this Sunday. Houston's going to kill them, right? I mean, I guess I have to give some optimism for Jaguar fans, but I'm kind of past that after having to sit through 47-10 on Monday night. Give Jaguar fans any hope, or be brutally honest, however you want to take it, Ryan. C.J. Stroud, Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs, they're coming off a beating at the hands of Minnesota. They're going to be ticked off. Houston's going to bludgeon the Jaguars, correct?
Yeah, you look at it right now, it's going to be tough to go into Houston as well and win that football game. Now, for positivity, I think you look at what Brian Flores has done to every team so far this year, and that's be very unique in what you're doing at all three levels of the defense. Maybe Ryan Nielsen takes a page out of his book and tries to mix up some looks. Peterson said it after the game. Maybe they do something. They're going to have to elevate their game. They're going to have to play their A-plus game, and that may still not be good enough. But heading into that game this week, it's absolutely a must-win game for the Jaguars. I hate to say that so earlier in the season, but considering what this AFC conference has been the last 7 to 10 years, what this division is going to be this year and moving forward with such young quarterbacks, it's going to get better as the years go on, and the Jaguars have to be better. So I'm not going to sit here and say the Jaguars are going to win that football game. They could very well go out and completely just crap the bed, really, if you will, again, and lose by 30 plus. But I hopefully want to see this team play better. Fundamentally, this execution has to be there. I always say it, Excel spreadsheet, depth chart, it looks fine, but you got to strap up nose to nose and compete. And this Sunday is going to be tough against D'Amico Ryans in that group. But this is the NFL. Minnesota held that team all 4 quarters. Jacksonville has talent within that, specifically the front 4. Trayvon and Josh Hines-Allen got to show up this week, or we're going to be sitting here next week talking about the 0-4 Jacksonville Jaguars and potential changes made at the top. Whether how far that goes up remains to be seen.
If they lose by 30 against Houston, I can't imagine changes won't be made at that point. I don't know how high it'll go, but can't imagine changes won't be made at that point. I don't know how high it'll go, but something will happen. Quickly, Ryan, 60 seconds. The AFC South, totally underwhelming. Tennessee's terrible, too. I guess if there's any silver lining in Jacksonville, the Titans are awful. Anthony Richardson, the Colts look like they have a problem there. They won against Chicago despite Richardson. And Houston is 2-1, but they haven't looked great, and they just got boat raced in Minnesota. Boy, I was high on the South coming into the year. It's been awful 3 weeks in.
I was too. I just mentioned it. The young quarterbacks, it's a very fun division. Levis, Richardson, Stroud, and Trevor Lawrence. There's not a division in football that has that many young guys getting after it every single week. But it's been ugly, absolutely, for 3 weeks. Anthony Richardson, ton of questions with him. He was not good against Chicago. If it's not for Jonathan Taylor and it plays by that defense, they don't win that football game. Will Levis arguably looks like the worst quarterback in football right now. It's not good at all for them. So in reality, if the Jaguars can go into Houston this week, push Houston to 2-2, Jaguars to 1-3, you're right back in the divisional race. This could very easily be the NFC East of 2020, where Washington wins with a barely above 500 or 500 record, So we'll see, but I do expect this division to get better. The favorites are the Houston Texans, but as I said earlier, Ryan, and as we know, covering this thing, it's any given Sunday, any given Monday, Thursday, whenever the heck you line up, you got to compete, you got to produce. And I think fundamentally right now, pulling the microscope in on this Jaguars team, talent is being wasted right now, whether that's from a development standpoint, whether that's just the acquisitions that they made in free agency or in the draft. They got to be better. It's early, so not going full bore right now, but they got to be better. And hopefully, for Jacksonville fans' perspective, it gets going here this weekend against the Houston Texans on the road, but it's not going to be easy.
You can check out Ryan Fowler's terrific work at Bleacher Report and also at the Draft Network. Ryan, I know you're busy. Thank you, as always, for the time, pal. We'll talk again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, as always, Ryan.
Now the cool down with Donovan Air, Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jack's cool since '87.
And thank you to Ryan Fowler of Bleacher Report for joining us tonight here on Hacker After Dark as we put a wrap on what has been a very, very busy Wednesday night edition. You think about the Jaguars just less than 48 hours ago. They were still playing and just getting their face rubbed in the dirt in Buffalo. And now here we are, already back on the practice field, getting things ready for the Texans. A very short week, but in a way, maybe that's a good thing that it's a short week, as the Jaguars have to get Buffalo out of their system as quickly as possible because, again, that Texans game is fastly approaching. And look, I've made no bones about it. I'm not picking Jacksonville to win the game. I don't honestly have a whole lot of optimism that they're going to keep it very close. But in a hypothetical world, Jacksonville goes in there and wins on Sunday. they're a game out of first place in the division. They would be 1-3. The Texans would be 2-2, and the Jaguars would be 1-0 in the division, as it's their first AFC South game. So we can dare to dream, I guess, a little bit, and probably until kickoff happens Sunday at 1 o'clock. But again, thank you to Ryan Fowler of Bleacher Report and the Draft Network for joining us here on Hacker After Dark. And that will just about put a wrap on what has been a very busy Wednesday night edition. Thank you guys for listening to us here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. We have a ton of people to thank. Again, Ryan Fowler of Bleacher Report. Thank you to Ryan Roberts as well, A2ZSports.com, covering the world of college football and a little NFL draft talk. But with the draft, we focused mainly on Anthony Richardson and Will Levis and the struggles with both Indy and Tennessee. We also talked a lot with Ryan about Florida and Florida State, so appreciate Ryan Roberts, A2ZSports.com. We had a little Wednesday night coaching with Campo tonight. My buddy Dave Campo, former head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, stopped by, as he does every week, to review Buffalo, but more importantly, begin to preview the big division matchup on Sunday against Houston. And back in hour number one, our guy from CBS Sports, Andrew Catalon, who will be on the play-by-play for CBS for the Jaguars and the Texans. Always appreciate Andrew making time for us right here to talk Jags on Hacker After Dark. Now, we will be back tomorrow night on a Thursday, and we will do it all over again beginning at 8 o'clock. Dylan Denmark was your producer tonight. Dylan, great job as always. I'm the Hacker Ryan Green. And again, Jacksonville, thank you for spending part of your Wednesday evening with us right here on Hacker After Dark on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. So for all of us here on HAD, have an absolutely terrific remainder of your Wednesday evening, and we will talk to you again tomorrow night on a Thursday beginning at 8 o'clock. Until then, good night, Jacksonville.
Blue